Now we're contemplating things? Really? Hey guys, it's Sarah. Welcome to another video here on this channel. I'm really excited to jump back in. We left the Michelsons over in the cemetery about to rip each other to shreds. So we need to go talk about that. We need to go see what happens. I know you were all very nervous. Okay, so 16 opens with baby Michelsons. They're just kids, they're just kids, they're just kids. Normally, they just give us like the regular actors kind of aged down as best they can with long hair. This is actual children. These are children characters. And it's a storm, and Klaus hears Rebekah freaking out, and so he goes over to her, and he's like, "Don't be scared, it's just a storm. I won't let it hurt you." He gives her a wood carving of a knight that he was making for Michael so that she can be brave. "I'm unwell." She asks him, "Will you stay with me until the storm is over?" And he goes, "I'll stay with you forever, sister." I can't. Okay, back in the cemetery, Elijah's trying to put himself between Rebekah and Klaus because he's like, this is the worst fight we've ever had. Klaus is just waving the white oak stake around like a wand, you know, as if it's not a terrible, terrible weapon of mass destruction. Rebekah does finally run away. She can't go very far, but she can like hide in the cemetery and stay out of sight so that Klaus doesn't have to look at her and fuel his rage. Elijah, again, remember, holding the bloody knife, and he's not afraid to use it. Klaus is pissed that Elijah would pick Rebekah when she's clearly a traitor, and Elijah's like, "I'm not picking sides, okay? I'm stopping you from murdering our sister. Can you not see how that's maybe something that we don't want to actually do? You're just angry." And Klaus is like, no, I want to kill her right now. Klaus goes, "We can't leave this cemetery. How long do you think you can protect her?" And Elijah hits him with, "As long as it takes, and by whatever means necessary." Okay, baby, I see you. We cut to morning. Okay, remember they're locked in here until the next moonrise. Rebekah's on the phone with Marcel, and she's like, "I've never seen Klaus like this, okay? He was howling all night. He's screaming, crying, throwing up. He wants to kill me, and he's going to." Then we see a shot that is so funny. It's just the boys outside, and it's Elijah basically being like, "Try to run past me. Try to run past me. I dare you." And Klaus just being like, "Aren't you tired?" Marcel is currently looking for like a loophole with Davina. He's hoping maybe she can help him lower the barrier. But at this point, Rebekah's just tired of running. She's sort of slowly starting to give up. Davina's super unwell. Apparently the other girls were with the ancestors when they were dead. And so they were like getting training and being talked to and stuff like that. But Davina tells Marcel she doesn't want to talk about what she went through because she was alone and it was dark and it was cold and that was it. And she's not handling being back very well at all. Elijah tells Klaus, like, "I grew up with you. I know how you fight. You're not going to be able to beat me. It's just not going to happen." It's very Big Brother core, his confidence level. Klaus says, "Oh, I can get past you. It just might be over your dead body." And Elijah's like, "Oh my God, now you're going to kill me too? Okay, great." One more time, Elijah hits him with the, "You know what? You look just like father." And Klaus is like, "That's so mean, okay? You don't even know him. You don't even remember what he was really like, okay? Because he was only mean to me. So everybody needs to stop telling me that I'm like him because that's just like the most hurtful thing." Elijah sucks us into another flashback of him teaching Klaus how to hunt with a bow and arrow. Klaus is not good at it because, you know, he's a literal child, but he's doing his best. Michael shows up and is just like, "He's not doing his best, Elijah. He's useless. If he can't hunt, what good is he to this family?" And I'm like, I don't know, Michael. He's maybe 6 years old, so you could cool it a little bit. At this point, Klaus is getting really close to like breaking down and listening to Elijah because Elijah is so good at like making him see reason. But also he can't show mercy to the people that wrong him. That's like an innate thing in him that he just can't do it. So he's like, "No, I have to kill our sister. I've decided and I have to do it." So Rebekah comes out into the cemetery. She's like, "You can have your revenge if you really want it, but I'm gonna tell you exactly why I did what I did." Okay, we go back to Davina. Turns out she lied. straight lied to Marcel. She tells Cammy the truth, which is that she was with the ancestors, but they were really mean to her and they bullied her the entire time she was dead, and they're disappointed in her, and they said that she used her magic on her own kind and now she's like a disgrace to the witches, and now she feels like her magic doesn't work. It's very much giving what happened to Bonnie in TVD. Now Davina's like, I don't want to be a witch anymore. No more magic for me. Never using it again. We're at the church for this scene and Kieran is downstairs with Marcel. He's getting real twitchy. Real twitchy, real shifty, real weird, but he's holding it together as best he can. At this point, though, he's lost all faith that any of them are going to survive. He's like, I'm going to die from the Hex. You're going to die from Klaus. Everyone's going to die, Marcel. That's all we have to look forward to. And Marcel's like, oh, okay. At the cemetery, things are getting real silly goofy. Klaus is now up on top of a crypt, like holding court. Elijah's relaxed enough at this point to sit down because he knows that Klaus is gonna like enjoy this little charade that they're gonna do. Klaus starts it by being like, I did everything I did to protect you. And Rebekah is like, I don't understand how you can't see that you were selfish and overbearing, and that would get annoying and I would get sick of it. Why didn't you see that coming? She points out that he used to be a sweet boy. He made her laugh. He liked art and music. She says that she wanted to be just like him when they were kids, and he was her best friend. And so what happened to him? Like, why wasn't Marcel at least enough? Why couldn't she just be happy with him? Which, given that we saw the flashback where he gave them permission to be together, it's like, girl, he was enough. He just had to come to that conclusion. So it's gonna get a little messy because Klaus did end up giving them permission to be together. You see what I'm saying? Like, he didn't initially he was like, no, I'm gonna dagger you for 52 years. And like, he shouldn't have done that. But then later on, it was too late. Elijah steps in and he's like, you know, brother, I would like to remind you that I myself have left you many times, okay? But Rebekah never leaves you. She's the only one who always stays with you. Which is not true because she did in fact ditch him and stay in Mystic Falls for a little while. But like, again, we don't need to point out the inconsistencies right now. Klaus is holding a white oak stake. Get one of my favorite flashbacks we've ever seen from the little trio, which is Michael attacking Klaus so badly that Elijah was like, I thought he was gonna kill you, so I stepped in and then he punched me in the face and I ended up on the floor. And so Rebekah picked up a sword and threatened to kill him with it. Klaus starts crying in the present. He's like, don't make me think that she's a good sister. Don't try to mind games me. She left me for a stupid boy. Like, he's terrified of not being loved the most by the people that he cares about. And at this point, I was like, honey, you can't marry her. She's your sister. She's gonna have to be with somebody romantically, all right? You can be her best friend. You can be the brother she's closest to if you could just be normal about it. Because right now, it's very obvious that she likes Elijah more than you. And she has for a while. So if you could just chill and be normal, you could probably bump yourself back up to favorite brother. But as it stands right now, you're clearly not the winner, and we all know why. Rebekah admits to everything. She's like, you know what? Yes, I did love Marcel more than you. Because he took care of me and he was kind. And you were my bastard brother who took everything from me. And like, y'all, that just guts him. That's like the worst thing she could have ever said. Then she goes, if I was given a chance to do it over, I would do it all again. So he jumps on her down from the roof, and then Elijah gets involved. And when they roll apart from each other, Elijah is holding both the stake and the knife. Rebekah leaves again, and Elijah faces Klaus, and he's like, you wouldn't listen to her. So now you're gonna have to deal with me. And then he holds up both the weapons, and Klaus is like, nah. Cammy's trying to help Davina work through her grief by pointing out, you know, how she felt when she lost her brother and how she thought she would never survive, but you have to kind of move through it to get to the other side. Davina is like, I don't think you understand. The witches aren't gonna let me go. I can't just escape this feeling and not be a witch. They're gonna make me work with them. But she's worried that she can't trust Marcel because he just wants things from her. And she's like, even you, Cammy, don't you want something? And Cammy's like, well, yes, I do need your help with my uncle. And Davina's like, see, I knew it. And she's like, no, but I do like you, Davina. Like, I care about you and I want you to be okay. But also, you're the town witch. So, like, if you could help Kieran, that would be great. Marcel overheard all of this, so he has to call Rebekah and be like, yeah, babe, Davina's not gonna work out. I simply can't ask her to do this, but I'm gonna find another witch. Okay, give me a little bit more time. At this point, 100% she's given up. She's like, I'm gonna die. I feel mortal. I feel scared. You should run and leave me behind because he's gonna come for you once he kills me. Elijah tells Klaus that he's not gonna kill him with the stake. That's not what he wants to do at all. He's trying to convince Klaus that he did play a part in what happened and the breakdown of his and Rebekah's relationship is two-sided. And Klaus is like, all I heard from what she said to me is she wanted me dead first, so why can't I kill her now? Elijah's like, you're such a big, dumb, stupid idiot. Do you not see how much she loves you? Do you not know what she did? What she would have been willing to do? Yeah, we go back to the flashback after Michael had beaten Klaus so badly that they all thought like, oh God, this is it. This is the time he dies. Rebekah, at night, when everybody was asleep, went after Michael with a knife and was gonna slit his throat. The only reason why she didn't do it was because Elijah stopped her. And then Elijah's standing there over the body and he tells Klaus, you know, I wish I had just done it. I wish I had just done it right then, right there. None of this would have happened. We wouldn't be vampires. Everything would be better. He says he knows Rebekah acts without thinking. She's short of temper and sometimes she makes mistakes. But she loves Klaus. Calling Michael was a mistake. Yes, she never should have done it, but Elijah is not sure that they can completely blame her. Klaus is like, well, I can. He tells Elijah that to protect Rebekah, he's gonna have to kill him with the stake. And Elijah's like, well, I'm not gonna do that. He throws the stake away from both of them. So Klaus rushes him and he gets the knife into Elijah's chest and my boy goes down screaming. It was awful. But then Rebekah shows up. Yeah, she did in fact catch the stake. So now she's holding it and she's like, I'm the one who gets to decide who lives and dies now. Elijah is gasping on the ground. Okay, somebody get that knife out of him. Rebekah tries, but Klaus is like, the second you waste time on him, I'm killing you. So pick your battles, sister. She tells him, confirmation, I did not want Dad to kill you. I wanted you to run away so that Marcel and I could have the city. And now look, you've lost Marcel and I both, okay? We're never gonna be friends again. And you're the only one to blame. Back with Marcel and trying to find a new witch, he goes over to Genevieve. She's now head of the coven and he tries to tell her that if she'll lower the boundary spell on the cemetery, then the vampires will no longer go in the cauldron and the witches can be free to do what they want. She says that they're only gonna agree if he will give them Davina. Klaus gets in Rebekah's face and he's screaming, crying. He's like, tell me the truth. Tell me that you wanted me dead. Just admit it. Just admit it. Just admit it. Just admit it. Being a complete just yap, 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 yap. Rebekah finally is like, okay, maybe I did. And oh man, it ruins him. I'm like, why would you didn't need to know. You didn't need to hear her say it. Why did you do that to yourself, Klaus? You create your own suffering consistently across the board. It's your fault. He backs away and she goes to grab him to apologize and he snatches her and stakes her in the chest with the white oak stake. Then we cut to nighttime. Klaus is sitting over Elijah's body. Elijah still has the knife in his chest. Rebekah comes walking back out and she's like, you missed my heart. He's like, did you consider that maybe I never wanted to actually kill you? I just wanted to scare you? Please. Absolutely not. They're just not gonna be on the same page about this. I don't know if they ever will reach true understanding of each other because Klaus cannot take blame. He just can't do it. He says, I love my family, you and Elijah, all of you. And I know I can be difficult, but I didn't make myself this way. It's all Michael's fault. Okay. Listen. Listen. I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut because the way I feel about Klaus and the way I feel about a certain somebody with a very similar backstory are incredibly different. Just gonna keep my mouth shut. Anyway, that's what Klaus says to her. Rebekah goes, he ruined me too. That's what you forget. He ruined all of us. She's like, you ended up angry and paranoid. I've got a fear of abandonment. And Elijah dedicates himself to everyone but himself. They're both crying at this point, right? And Elijah is still, let me remind you, gasping for breath on the ground a few feet away. Rebekah says they live without hope, they'll never die, and that's the definition of cursed, always and forever. Finally, Klaus reaches in and takes the knife out of Elijah's chest. Cammy tells Marcel that in her professional, non-professional opinion, Davina needs to go somewhere for treatment. Like, she needs to go be put somewhere so that she can get real help because she is severely depressed. And Marcel is like, I think we should just give her to the witches. I think the witches will be able to help her. If we put her in a hospital with doctors, she'll just never leave. They'll never let her out. Rebekah tells Klaus to go ahead and do whatever it is that he wants to do. And he goes, you said our father ruined us. And now I can't help but wonder if his father ruined him. Now we're contemplating things? Really? He asks her what she wants, and she's like, the same things I've always wanted: a home, a family, and somebody who loves me. He tells her, then go. Go and never come back. He says that they're too damaged to coexist with each other. It's just not going to work. So he's going to stay, and he's going to keep the city, but she's allowed to leave, and he won't follow her, and she can go live her life and be happy. She's finally free. So she walks out and leaves him behind in the cemetery, and then we cut to Elijah and Rebekah saying goodbye to each other. They agree that the brother they once knew is still in there, all right? If they can just get him out, Klaus can be himself again. So she tells Elijah to just do what he does best and try to help him. Klaus comes home to find all the vampires waiting up for him, and he's like, what is this? What's going on? Turns out Marcel is there. And so they're all still fairly loyal to Marcel, and they basically just wanted to like stand with him while he has this like final conversation with Klaus so that he didn't die alone. But Klaus just walks away and goes upstairs, leaving Marcel behind. And then Elijah shows up and flings Marcel into the wall. He goes, I assume you all know who I am, since this is my family home, and tonight I'm taking it back. He sends Marcel away out of respect for Rebekah. He's like, I'm not going to kill you, but you are in fact exiled. If I catch you in this city again, you will catch these hands. Then he freaking Miranda Priestley's all the other vampires by being like, that's all, run along. Klaus is upstairs watching, and he's like, ooh, brother, you're starting to sound like me. Nicely done. Rebekah's ready to go, but she knows that Marcel isn't going to leave, so they have to say goodbye. She tells him she wishes he'd built the home for them so that at least something good was still standing. He grabs her and kisses her goodbye. Then Rebekah even goes to say goodbye to Haley, which was nice because remember, they're like girls, team of two. She warns her not to cross Klaus because he's a monster. So she's like, he's crazy, but he will protect you and the baby. Haley asks her to come back and visit. She's like, you could at least come to the bayou, and we could say hi to you, and me and you could hang out, and we could stay friends, and the baby could get to know you. Rebekah says she wants that a lot, but if it can't happen, she wants Haley to tell the baby that she loves her very much. Klaus goes home and opens up a little wooden memory box. Sentimental little asshole. He's got the freaking wood carving that he made for Rebekah. Or I guess he made it for Michael, but he gave it to Rebekah. He's got that knight still. Are you serious? Final shot is of Rebekah driving out of town, which is real cute because we also watched her drive in. So she's gone. Bye for now. Klaus gives us a little voiceover about scars and how they remind us of our suffering, and they make the bearer never want to be wounded again. We see him painting his feelings and hooking up with Genevieve. Okay. Diego's running wild. All right, he's killing cops, he's killing civilians. He's just kind of losing it now that Marcel is gone. Monique's using her powers for bad. She's a mean girl witch now. The wolves are gathering with Haley to see if the curse will break. Spoiler alert, it does. So the Crescent wolves are now normal wolves again. Genevieve is just like chilling in Klaus's bed, just like hanging out at the house, walking around in her little cute lingerie. And Elijah comes in and he's like, you know what? I hate this. Okay, you need to go. I trust you can find your clothes and the door. Elijah reminds him that kicking Rebekah out was his choice and once again his fault. So he's just like, you need to get it together, okay? I know we both miss her, but you are wallowing and the city is falling apart around you. Klaus thinks the city's just too broken, so he just goes back to his paintings. He's like, I'm not dealing with this right now. So Elijah is like, okay, bet. I'll handle it myself. So Elijah draws up a meeting with all of the like elders from the different groups, which is him, Genevieve for the witches, Kieran for the humans, Diego for the vampires, and there were a few other people at the table that we don't know who they are. He explains that while Klaus is like dealing with his issues, he's gonna be acting as king and they need to get it together because the city is falling apart. Everybody's fighting each other and it's just bad. Everybody's in danger right now. We go to Davina, Monique, and the other Harvest girl who's come back. We're still missing one of them. Davina's not doing good with her training. Like the other two, their magic is awesome. They're stronger than they were before they died, but Davina's just not able to make anything work. And Monique is being so mean about it. They keep picking on her. They're acting like she's a failure, like she's not good enough, which is just making it all worse. The wolves, now that they're in human form, are having like pack hierarchy fights, which seems like something they would have done when they were in their wolf bodies, but okay, Jackson doesn't have to be involved because everybody knows who the alpha is. I think I just don't like werewolf language. Maybe that's a big reason why the werewolves just don't do it for me. Because like, how am I not supposed to cringe when he looks Haley in the eyes and goes, "They all know who the alpha is"? Okay. All right. Oliver, the one who tricked Rebekah and is so shitty, he's terrible attitude. I can't stand him. He's pissed because Elijah threw a meeting and didn't invite the werewolves, and he's picking on Haley about it because he's like, he's your vampire boyfriend, isn't he? So Haley storms over to the meeting, and at first Elijah's like, whoa, you can't be in here right now, please leave. But she insists, and she's like, if you don't allow the werewolves a seat at the table, you're gonna regret it. The meeting dissolves into absolute chaos, and then we cut to a scene of Elijah and Haley discussing things alone. He's pissed at her because he's like, do you have any idea what I had to do to get all of them to join the table to begin with? And she's like, no, because you didn't tell me and you didn't involve me in the process. He says that he didn't think it mattered since the wolves don't even live inside the city anymore. And she's like, babe, that's the problem, okay? You need to do this for us because you know it's the right thing to do. And like, that's his weakness. So yeah, of course now he's gonna include the wolves. Cammy comes over to see Klaus, accidentally running into Genevieve, which is as awkward as you think it is. Cammy was looking for Klaus to try to get help with Kieran, but he explains to her what Genevieve already told us, which is that hexes start out as magic and end with science. So once they mess with your brain enough, like nothing can be done. So he's like, I'm sorry, Kieran's gonna die. Davina goes to see Josh, which is excellent news. He is still hiding from Marcel and Klaus, but he is alive. They've really missed each other, and he is basically the only person that she truly trusts at this point, and everybody else is picking on her. So she just needed a friend. Marcel is also listening in and keeping an eye on her, but I think we can all agree that like Marcel's not gonna hurt Josh at this point, especially because he knows Davina cares about him. So currently right now, Josh is safe from Marcel. Now Klaus, that's another story. I don't know how he's gonna feel. Marcel goes to Thierry and tries to get him to agree to bring himself and the other vampires that left Klaus over to Marcel's side so they can fight back. Thierry is like, you know, no, because it's not going well and they don't seem to be able to beat Klaus. So he's just like, I don't think we want to get involved anymore. Come to me when you have more. Kieran chains himself up in the attic because he is starting to have uncontrollable homicidal urges towards everybody, including Cammy. He attacks her and it's real bad. I'm not gonna lie to you, I love this scene. He is really fun. I like Kieran so much, okay? And getting to see him go from like, you know, normal straight-laced human priest man to like crazy, great red flag, oh no, is so fun. I love it. She ends up hitting him over the head with a lamp and then just sort of sitting next to his unconscious body crying because it's horrible. This is so sad. This happened to her brother and now it's happening to Kieran. Like, this is terrible. Elijah meets with a human woman who like runs a drug trafficking ring and a casino, and she is part of the human faction, and she's like, believe it or not, I want peace as much as you do. Let me take Kieran's place on the council and I'm sure we can work something out. And she's real into Elijah. I get it, girl, but like, damn. Elijah's back in the soft shirt. Somebody said date me. This time he's got the forearms exposed and it's a V-neck. I can't do this. Klaus tells him that if he really wants to get everybody to get along with each other, he should just throw a party. And Elijah's like, you know, that's not a terrible idea. So he does. We get a huge throwdown in the Michelson compound. It's incredible. Everyone shows up in their little groups and we see all the factions like walking in their sexy little outfits. Like it's so fun. That woman, the human girl, she is flirting with Elijah. He's playing along, but also he's super down bad for Haley. And when Haley shows up, he's like, ooh, I gotta go. I have a werewolf girlfriend, sort of. Marcel pops up on Josh, confirming my suspicion that he doesn't want to kill him. He just wants his help with Davina. So he basically fills Josh in on the fact that like Davina needs her magic to stay protected from everybody, but the fact that she's not using her magic leaves her weak and vulnerable. So he's like, you're gonna have to convince her to start using it again. Okay, we can't let her get hurt like this. At the party, Davina is there, and I would like to remind you that she is a child. You know, Oliver, who I guess maybe is supposed to be a child too, because he did go after Rebekah, and Rebekah is also supposed to be 16. It all gets so complicated. The dynamic visually of Oliver and Davina is absurd. He looks terrifying. He looks like he's a grown man in graduate school going after a child. No, I can't. Diego is ready to rip Oliver's head off because it turns out that Oliver's family like killed most of Diego's family, if not all of them, and then the only reason why Diego survived is because Marcel turned him. So, you know, maybe I take back what I said before. Maybe the wolves were terrorizing the city. I don't know. I don't. Elijah checks in with Jackson and he's like, you know, I love that you guys came. I love that you're trying to, you know, integrate into the city. Have fun, have a great time. If you break the peace treaty, I will kill you. Genevieve is 100%, 100,000% jealous of Cammy and Klaus's relationship. She is super insecure. He assures her that he likes her the most, and she's the one he's currently hooking up with, right? He's lying. He's a liar, and Genevieve can tell. Jackson wanders upstairs and goes into Klaus's private rooms to look at his paintings, and he's gonna touch one with his grubby little werewolf fingers, and then Klaus stops him and is like, what you doing up here, bud? Then he about faces and is like, hey, so I want to give you a gift. Want to be a hybrid? And Jackson's like, no, I don't actually. Okay, I would rather die than be a stinky, smelly vampire. And also, my pack comes first because I'm the alpha. Klaus is like, I don't think you're understanding. I want to give you back what was taken from you. The city. What? He explains that he wants to work with the wolves now because they believe in unity, unlike the vampires. He's hoping that if he brings the werewolves back into the quarter, they will accept him and he can join and be one of them. Jackson's like, sir, you've been around for 1,000 years and you have killed plenty of us, okay? Now we're supposed to just believe that you want to accept your other side. He shows Jackson that ring that belonged to Esther that was like passed down through the generations of Klaus's werewolf bloodline. And it's got like a missing stone on it, right? So it's a circle, it's a regular circle ring with a stone facing, but the stone is missing. He explains that he thinks it's a moonlight ring. So he could make something that would keep the wolves from ever having to turn again. And Jackson is like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I do want that. Tell me more. Oliver gets all up on Davina and he's like, so, tell me the name of the girl I want to dance with tonight. And Monique shows up and goes, her name's Monique. Like, stealing Oliver away. I was like, girl, keep him. You can have him. Davina runs away though, all heartbroken because she doesn't know that Oliver's trash. We know that she dodged a bullet, so good for her. Elijah, meanwhile, takes Haley out on the dance floor to slow dance. That was a terrible idea. Why would you do that? They talk about how Klaus is absolutely scheming away at something. He tells Haley that he really hopes that the baby inherits her, well, everything. And then Jackson interrupts and he's like, could I have a minute? And Elijah's like, you can have your minute when I'm done. I'm literally dancing with her. And Haley's like, you know what? No, Jackson, you can have a minute and this dance. And she leaves Elijah. And then as Elijah walks away, he hears Jackson like teasing her and being like, did he even tell you you looked pretty? Because you look really pretty tonight. And Elijah's just like, I didn't tell her. And I'm like, you told her you hoped the baby inherited all of her qualities. And you were looking at her in a romantic way when you said it. Read between the lines, Haley. Cammy is drinking home alone, right? Marcel comes over to see her. He scares her a little bit, but then, you know, they're fine. They're friends. he sees where Kieran, you know, attacked her, and she's like, oh yeah, and now he's locked in the attic and he's psychotic and I don't know what to do, right? Because he's my only family and I'm miserable, so I am drinking. Woo! He tells her he had a witch put a boundary spell in the attic so that Kieran can't get out anymore, so at least he can't be a danger to anybody else. He could hurt himself, but like, that's already probably gonna happen, so at least now he can't get to anybody else. They bond over being out of family, and then she makes a joke about like, we're also out of alcohol, haha. So then they go out to go party on the town together. I'm sure that won't have any repercussions. Oliver and Diego square up at each other. Finally, the human lady gets in between them and tries to like interrupt. That doesn't go well. So then Elijah gets involved and basically grabs Oliver and like slams him down on the table. But then we see that Jackson has done the same thing to Diego. Haley is up above watching this happen, and she's like, well, what are you waiting for? Go ahead, kill him. And we don't know which man she's talking to. Is she talking to both of them? She basically says, you guys are like yapping about peace and all of this nonsense, but you can't even handle one party. At this point, maybe they should all just die because no one seems to be listening to anybody else. Davina and Josh bond. He basically gives her a little backstory about how the fact that he's gay kind of ruined his relationship with his family. They don't love him. They don't want him to be the way that he is. He equates that to her being kind of, you know, a witch who made her own choices, and it's okay that her family doesn't, her witch family doesn't, you know, understand and accept her because she has people that love her. So like, he loves her, and Marcel loves her, and Cammie loves her, and she's like, Marcel doesn't love me. Marcel doesn't love me. And he's like, babe, calm down. Like, you know he does, okay? He's made mistakes just like anybody, but you know he loves and cares about you. He's done so much to prove that to you. Deeply and completely, I wish he would have just 100% done everything he just did, but also just told her the truth about how she's kind of in danger and she needs her powers. She needs to be able to protect herself. It does end up working though. She brings a rose back to life and then gives him the rose, and it's very cute. Yeah, Cammie and Marcel stumble home together, very drunk, all giggly and cute. She tells him he's a good friend, and he's like, oh, thank you. We can't kiss. That would be a really bad idea. You know that, right? And then they do it anyway because they're lonely and sad. Sir Rebekah just left. Okay, real creepy. Genevieve planted like a scrying device so she sees them hook up with each other. Ew. Marcel sees the freaky scrying device. He takes it with him when he leaves Cammie's apartment. They agree that it was a lot of fun, but they can't do it again because Klaus will be angry. And at this point, I'm like, Klaus will be angry. I'm angry, Marcel. Outside, Marcel breaks the scrying device to end that connection. He talks to Thierry again and basically says, you know, I have everything to win and nothing to lose, so you guys should really just join me. But it turns out that Thierry is alone. The other vampires are gone, so it's just him. But Marcel is like, if you join me, then I have a second. We'll get a third and a fourth and a fifth, and soon we'll have an army, and we will take back what is ours. And Thierry agrees. Klaus has been painting the city this whole time, and he ends up drawing like a big frantic moon in the center. Elijah and the other faction leaders make a new contract, and they seal it with blood. My man Kieran is praying like his life depends on it, because it does. And Cammie's just sadly sitting with him. Monique comes back to that little training room to see that Davina has filled it with flowers. Like, there are so many roses. Oliver doesn't want to work with Klaus because he doesn't like the vampires, but Jackson assures him that if they do this, they will become unstoppable killing machines who can control their powers, and then they will be superior to all the other factions. Elijah makes Klaus sign the treaty too, because he knows that Klaus has been working behind his back. He just doesn't know what he's up to. And he's like, so sign the freaking treaty so that I have proof that you agreed to this. Okay, so we open the next episode with Genevieve still in Klaus's bed. Now he's painting her in bed. He's trying to turn things into like a business deal of sorts, where he's like, I like you, you like me. This is a mutually beneficial deal. I need you to swear allegiance to me and be my witch that works for me. And she's like, you know, I actually liked you. Like, I kind of thought we were dating a little bit. And he's like, no, yeah, yes, sure. But like, it's a mess. It's such a mess. He's basically promising that if she will swear allegiance to him and not Elijah, he will make sure that nothing happens to the witches and they stay protected under him instead of Elijah, because Elijah won't go against him. He already has several times, but sure, make that deal. Over in the crypt, the witches are doing something, and it is not explained to us what they're doing, but they're sort of around the room in like strange positions, meditating. And it doesn't work for Davina and the blonde, whose name I don't think we know, but Monique gets possessed by the ancestors, and when she comes out of her trance, she tells them that the ancestors say it's time to kill Genevieve because they need to finish the reaping. Elijah hates the relationship between Genevieve and Klaus more than I do, honestly. He's disgusted by it. He wants him to be focusing on Haley, you know, the woman pregnant with his child, and Klaus is like, I don't know why you're so worried about her. She's basically werewolf royalty. She's safe in the bayou, just relax. In the bayou, speaking of, wolves from all over the world are coming in and like staring at Haley and the baby. Like they just want to look at her and know that she's real and know that the child is real because they feel like she's gonna save them. And Haley is as creeped out as you think she would be over that. Oliver is working for Klaus now too because he's like Jackson's right-hand man. So he's currently looking for the wolf that had the ring that Klaus found. But because there's so many of these freaking werewolf packs coming in, it's a little hard to find one guy. Elijah is planning an event with the witches to like show them that the town supports them and stuff. And Klaus is also asking the werewolves to come and make sure at least somebody comes to the like dinner celebration so that it's clear that the werewolves are part of the peace treaty. Klaus goes over to Cammy and is like, hey babe, I got a witch to help fix your uncle. And Cammy's like, who said I wanted your help? You're the worst. And Klaus is like, okay, go ahead and tell me no then if you have another option. And she says no. And then the second he walks away, she's like, just kidding, just kidding, just kidding, please help him. I was lying. Girl. Marcel is super worried about Cammy working with Klaus, especially now that they've hooked up with each other, because he knows that was a stupid decision. But Marcel also knows that Klaus is going behind Elijah's back. So he's sort of thinking maybe if they could get on Elijah's side, then they could convince Elijah to fight with them against Klaus. But Thierry is like, they're brothers. They're never gonna pick you. Elijah literally said, if you come back in the quarter at all, he will kill you. Like, this is a terrible plan. Monique easily turns the coven against Genevieve, and they sort of all show up and like gang up on her to be like, we have a knife. It's time to kill you. And Genevieve is like, oh, of course. I would love to give up my life for the good of the coven. No problem, but I do have something I need to finish first. She's planning to steal Esther's grimoire now that she's in the Michelson house, like sleeping with Klaus. She's like, I'm gonna get the grimoire, and then we're gonna have all the spells we need, and that way the witches will be protected. Elijah is going around meeting with every faction, trying to get them to agree to come to this, like, it's basically like they're gonna show the reaping off to the town and like reveal that they have magic. But it's kind of gonna look like a show, but they're gonna actually be doing it. So they're kind of being like, there's real witches in New Orleans, woo! And everybody else needs to go along with it and agree. But the other factions don't want to because everybody's either mad at or straight up hates the witches because they've all been infighting. So Elijah's having a hell of a time. Soft shirt Elijah is now soft coat Elijah. I repeat, SOS. He warns Haley that Jackson and Oliver agreed way too quickly to come, and he sort of like follows her and whispers to her that she needs to not trust them. She shouldn't trust any of them. Oliver brings the missing wolf that he's been looking for. His name is Carrie. He brings him to Klaus. He wants to know what stone was in the ring, because remember I said it's just a silver band and there's a missing gemstone. He wants to know what stone that was, but Carrie's like, dude, I'm so sorry. I've actually never seen it complete. The entire time I had it, it was missing the stone. Marcel reveals himself to Diego to get him to join him and Thierry. Diego's like, look, bro, I don't like Klaus. I hear you, but Elijah's in charge now, and I kind of like working for him because at least he's honest. And Marcel and Thierry are like, no, abort mission. The Michelsons are liars. They fight over the fact that Marcel picked up the coin because Diego says that that makes him a coward and he doesn't want to work for a coward anymore. And Marcel is like, I picked up the coin to save all of you because it was the only way to stop Klaus from going on a rampage. Diego, though, is not having it, and so ultimately he ends up being like, look, if y'all want to be stupid and start a war, you're going to be fighting against me too. Haley catches Oliver and Jackson whispering to each other and having boys club time. Oliver tells her to get lost, and so she slams him up against the wall and is like, I'm the alpha now. Tell me what's going on. So Jackson, being that he still wants to get married to Haley, he hasn't told her that outright, but like, we all know that's what he wants. He's immediately like, hold on, Haley, you're one of us. You're right. Let me tell you. And he just spills all the secrets about working with Klaus, tells her everything. So Klaus had not actually convinced Genevieve to help with Kieran yet. He just lied and said that he had, so he gave Cammy that false hope, and he didn't actually have anything in writing yet. So he goes to Genevieve, they end up in an argument, and she says, yeah, get fucked, I'm not helping him. No. She asks if she can see Esther's grimoire, and he's like, no, of course not. Why would I give you access to all of those spells? Do you think I'm stupid? He ends up threatening her because he is stupid, and so she fights back. She's too strong, so her magic overpowers him, and she basically is like, well, now you've done it. You've made me turn my chair. I hate you. And so they're broken up. Whatever was going on with them is over, and now she's mad. So the witches are marching through the streets with Davina and the blonde girl whose name we do not know. If we've been told it, it was one time and I forgot. And then Monique. They're on like floats being led through the city in pretty costumes. The girls do some tricks. Monique makes the earth shake, the blonde girl does wind, and then Davina does fire, so the missing one, the fourth one, would be water if she was here. Genevieve sent somebody after the grimoire while everybody is like out and about, but Klaus was waiting for them. So maybe he's not as stupid as I jokingly said he was, okay? So he caught the guy stealing the grimoire, so that's not good. Elijah snags Davina for a minute, but she's super pissed off at him and she does not want to talk to him at all. Genevieve intervenes and is like, he's our patron tonight, we need to be nice to him, and Davina's like, no, and just storms off. Haley does show up as the rep for the werewolves, but the others are not coming, so it's just her. Inside the party, Monique is really mean to Davina. She's basically going along with what she said to Sophie, which was like, you don't believe enough, you're not strong enough, you're not a good enough witch for this, you don't deserve it. Genevieve is like, she's gonna be fine, she just needs to be taught a lesson. She gives a speech, and basically everybody at the party has brought offerings for the girls. They're representing kind of like the heart of the magic right now. So everybody starts giving them gifts, but they keep skipping Davina intentionally. Cammy surprises Genevieve by giving her a gift of her own. She says it's a way to honor what Klaus is trying to do and what Kieran was fighting for. She knows what happened to Genevieve, and she's like, I get it that you don't trust them and you don't really want to work with them, so I'm just asking you for anything that you could do to help me. I will appreciate it. She ends up giving her like a peacock hairpin that Genevieve owned back in 1919. So she's like, oh my god, this is fate. Maybe we could be friends. Davina gives up on being embarrassed, and so she finally leaves her seat and just runs from the party, but Josh finds her and he's like, did you think I would miss your big night? Like, I'm so proud of you. This is so cool. And then Klaus shows up and he snatches them before they can leave because they were planning on just leaving the party and going somewhere else. Klaus is like, no, and he just grabs them and drags them over to the stairs. He makes a big speech about how Josh is in trouble and he doesn't like Josh and Josh is annoying and Josh deserves to die. But because he likes Davina so much, he's gonna pardon Josh. No one will harm him. He's allowed in the city. Everything is fine. And then he gives Davina a gift. Initially, she's like, no, I don't want that. But he convinces her with the whole pardoning Josh situation. So she takes it, and it's the freaking spell to make the daylight rings. Then this band shows up. They come down the staircase and like interrupt the party. They say they have a message from Marcel. Then they cut their wrists and start bleeding, and all the vampires are like, ooh, that smells good. And Elijah's like, nobody move, oh my god. And then the lights go out. Of course the vampires attack, and when the lights come back up, everybody, so many people are dead. And there's a message on the wall written in blood that says there will be no peace. And Haley is injured. Ooh, turns out Josh was working with Marcel. So that's why he came, and he got Davina out in time, so she's okay. But yeah, he knew what was gonna happen. Elijah shows up and attacks Marcel and Thierry, but Marcel very quickly is like, your brother's working behind your back and he's working with the werewolves, and if you kill me, he's not gonna tell you anything. Elijah goes, "Do you not know me?" and grabs Marcel by the heart. Thierry tries to help, but then Marcel just grabs him by the heart too. And he goes, "For your violation," before ripping out Thierry's heart. Oh, Marcel's heartbroken, y'all. He's so sad. He's so upset. Freaking Elijah still has him by the heart though, so he can't get to Thierry right away. Elijah like reels him in and he's like, "You live and die according to my will. Try to remember that." Nah, he's so hot. Genevieve is pissed that the vampires ruined the party. Klaus is trying to play nice again, but it's going so badly. Like, he just needs to leave her alone at this point. Klaus gives her a gift and he says that a friend of hers helped him pick it out. And she's like, "What friend?" And he's like, "Oh, the friend you sent over to my house." And when she opens the box, it's that guy's hands. So tells him she's finally learned her lesson where he's involved and he is the one who should now be scared of her. And I agree. I don't know why you made her angry. And Genevieve is like, "Oh, okay, you want to talk about feelings? I lied to Cammy tonight and I made her think that there was hope, but there is no hope. Her uncle's gonna die a slow, horrible, awful death and there's nothing anybody can do about it and you're gonna have to be the one to tell her that, haha." Also, she sprinkles in that Marcel and Cammy hooked up, so now he's even more upset. Haley ran back to the wolves and she's like, "Jackson, Oliver, you guys were correct. We need to work with Klaus, all right? I don't want you to trust him, but we need to work with him because we can't let the vampires continue to have control like this. They killed so many innocent people. It was awful." Elijah and Klaus talk and Elijah tells him that he knows Klaus is manipulating him. He gets it. He's used to it. It's what always happens. But this time he's over it. Klaus is like, brother, the wolves are technically half of my family, so like working with them is not even really a betrayal. You need to calm down. Klaus then picks on him for liking Haley, and Elijah's like, "Oh my God, we're gonna get into this right now? Okay, well, let's get into the fact that I haven't done anything, all right? I have not done anything, especially where she's involved, because I didn't want to hurt you." And he goes, "From now on, I'm not putting aside my desires for you. If I want something, I'll take it, and nothing will stand in my way." Klaus confronts Cammy about the hooking up with Marcel situation, but he's really just sad. Like, he tries to come off as like, "I'm upset with you, you hurt my feelings," but really he's just crying. He also tells her that there's no hope for Kieran because he accidentally insulted Genevieve, and now she's not gonna help. Cammy kind of circles back to the Marcel situation and she's like, "Isn't that what you wanted? Like, you compelled me to go out with him and now you're mad?" Being rational, Klaus is like, "You know what? If I see Marcel again, I'm gonna kill him." Elijah watches Haley interacting with the wolves. She's like sitting around a fire with them, laughing with Jackson. Eve comes to see him, like out in the wood line, and she's like, "You don't have to keep coming and checking on her. I'll let you know if anything happens." So it turns out they've kind of been sweetly working together to like keep an eye on Haley, which is nice. We like Eve. As they watch, Haley feels the baby kick and she grabs Jackson's hand and lets him feel the baby moving. And Elijah's like, "That could be me." Eve asks if he wants to join them because she'd be happy to walk him over. And he's like, "All I want is for that girl to be happy." And he tells Eve not to tell Haley that he came by. Marcel shows Josh Thierry's body and he tells him about their friendship, promising Thierry that he's not going to let his death be in vain. He's going to take back the city, even if they have to burn it to the ground again to make it happen. Diego and the others come back because Thierry's death was enough for them to be like, "Okay, yeah, bet. We want to work with Marcel. This is ridiculous." So they kind of all stand around and like burn his body. So the army is growing. Monique confronts Genevieve at the cemetery and is like, "Girl, get prepared. It's time to die." Genevieve doesn't even have time to fight back. Like, Monique is so strong that she's able to just overpower her almost immediately. Before she can kill her though, she gets another like ancestor channeling moment. She starts speaking in tongues. Then when she comes to, she's like, "Hold on, they don't want me to kill you." And Genevieve's like, "Why not? What does that mean? What do they want us to do instead?" And Monique goes, simple. We need to kill Klaus's baby." Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to like and comment down below. I love talking to y'all each week. I hope you guys are all having a good month of May. At this point when this video goes up, I will have already started my summer job. So be thinking of me. It's gonna be chaotic. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you so soon. Have a good one. Bye.
you.